WrestleMania Wednesday. I'm your host Don, and today we're going to be talking about WrestleMania 21. A WrestleMania as fine as this wine. It's actually grape juice.
You're watching So Awkward. This is Freddy Krueger saying hi.
WrestleMania 21 was on April 3rd, 2005 at the Staples Center in Los Angeles, California. This opened with a bang. Eddie Guerrero versus Rey Mysterio. Awesome match. Great way to open WrestleMania. If you take 100 random wrestling fans and have them rank their 10 favorite matches of all time, I bet 75 of them are going to have a Rey Mysterio, Eddie Guerrero match. Which match is open for debate? Halloween Havoc, the ladder match for custody of Dominic, this one, another one. They're just two of the best rivals in wrestling history. Their chemistry is just perfect. And this match was awesome. This was as good a match as I've ever had. Eddie Guerrero, just a great technical wrestler. Rey Mysterio is that superhero, lucha libre, flying style that's just so much fun to watch. But just together, they're magic, and this is just an awesome match. Rey Mysterio prevailed. Then we go right into the first ever, I think, Money in the Bank ladder match. This is a ladder match, if you don't know, with like 6 or 7 guys. Instead of having the belt hanging above the ring, they have a briefcase, inside of which is a contract stating that they can have a title match for whatever title they want, anywhere, anytime. At the time, it was a new concept, but it has since become a huge thing. For the next few years, they have the Money in the Bank match at WrestleMania, but it eventually becomes its own pay-per-view. That's how big it becomes. That's how important it is to the mythology, as you were, to the WWE cosmology or something. And competing for the contract was Chris Jericho, Chris Benoit, Christian, it's the holy trinity of Chris's, Shelton Benjamin, Edge, and Kane. So that's 6 guys. 6 just great wrestlers. There isn't a dud in there. Edge prevails, and he becomes the first ever Money in the Bank briefcase holder. Up next was a really weird promo with a guy named Eugene came out. I don't know who this is. I've never seen him before. His gimmick seemed to be that he was like, he had some kind of mental challenge. So he's walking around the ring talking. I don't remember what he was talking about, if it was even coherent at all. But then Muhammad Hassan comes out, who's awesome. And he gives this great promo about how he's the best he's the best wrestler in the world, and he's been shut out of WrestleMania, and they're not going to give him his WrestleMania match. He's going to take it, and then he just starts to beat the crap out of Eugene. Muhammad Hassan is an Arab, and he wears a turban. This was 2005. Come to think of it, not much has changed. He starts beating the crap out of Eugene, and who's going to save him? And then Hulk Hogan's I Am a Real American hits, and he comes out and he just beats the crap out of Hussein and just throws him out of the ring and defends the honor of Eugene. Although I think at that point Eugene just disappeared, and then it was just Hulk Hogan flexing and, listening to the crowd for about 10 minutes. But it was great. Great fun. Then we go right into the Undertaker's match, and this year he's fighting Randy Orton, the Legend Killer. That was his gimmick at the time. He beat like Bob Backlund, I think he beat Hulk Hogan. He beat all of like the old school legends. So at the time, I imagine if anybody was going to end the Undertaker streak, it's going to be the Legend Killer. Because at that point, the only legend left for him to beat was the Undertaker. So after 12 wins, it was probably time in people's minds for the Undertaker to lose. But he doesn't lose. But the streak continues for another decade or so. But this was just an awesome match. I love Randy Orton. He's one of my all-time favorites. I love the Undertaker, one of my all-time favorites, if not my all-time favorite. This is the point where I think the Undertaker matches become the best matches of WrestleMania. For the most part, moving forward, just the Undertaker matches steal the show pretty much every year. Anyway, great match. And the Undertaker, 13-0. Pretty good. Then the Women's Championship was on the line. Champion Trish Stratus defending against Christy Hemme. This one was fine. This was a pretty solid match. They kept their clothes on. They did actual wrestling moves. They took bumps. It wasn't an amazing match, but it was a pretty good match, and I liked it. And I think Trish Stratus is a really good wrestler. Christy Hemme, who I don't know, but she was fine. Trish Stratus prevailed and kept the title. Then we have Shawn Michaels versus Kurt Angle. Leading up to this match was an amazing video package showing their feud, which basically boiled down to the fact that they hate each other. No title on the line, just they hate each other. But it was pretty great, and it got me really into the match. I've seen this match before, but it's one of those matches where I forget who wins and loses, and I just get caught up in the story and the spectacle. This is awesome. This is Shawn Michaels at his best. This is Kurt Angle at his best. Kurt Angle, a legit wrestler, Olympic gold medal winner for wrestling. It's just, he's such an interesting character, how they took an American hero and they made him into a villain. But it works so well. If you were to look at this guy, you would think they'd put him in as the generic all-American boy. But there's just something in his eyes that is so scary. He's a scary guy. He is so good at being a villain. He's super scary, and he's just an amazing wrestler. He's probably, on a technical level, the greatest wrestler of all time. And Shawn Michaels holds his own, and it's just a really amazing technical wrestling match. And I love it. And Kurt Angle destroys him. Shawn Michaels puts him a good fight, and he lasts a while, but he finally has to tap out to Kurt Angle's ankle lock. And it's pretty great. It's probably the best tap out in wrestling history. Just Shawn Michaels, he just sells it, and he just drags it out so long, but not too long. He drags, like he's suffering in the ankle lock, and he just drags it out right to the point where it's too long, and you start to be like, this is ridiculous. And then he taps out, and it's just, you'll be on the edge of your seat. I promise you. It's a great match. And then we have the return of the Piper's Pit. Roddy Piper comes back to WrestleMania, and he interviews Stone Cold Steve Austin. Huge crowd reaction for both of these two. And then they have a promo where they talk about how they hate each other. They've never met, but they're both known as the two biggest rebels, and they both think the other one's full of crap. They have a duel of wits, and it's really fun, and their chemistry is great. And then it takes a weird turn because Carlito comes out. Remember Carlito? I always like Carlito. He's funny. Comes out and he talks about how neither of them are cool. That's Carlito's thing. He's cool, and he doesn't like people who don't want to be cool, or something like that. What was his gimmick? He was a weird character, but he was charming, and he was always fun. So then, of course, they both just team up to kick the crap out of Carlito. And then Stone Cold, for some reason, stuns Roddy Piper, because that's just what he does. Then we have a weird match, one of the weirdest matches on WrestleMania Wednesday. It was a sumo match between a legit Japanese sumo wrestler named Akebono versus the Big Show. They took the ropes down, they put like a circle in the ring, so it was like a legit sumo match, which, I mean, everybody's seen pictures or clips of sumo matches. I've never actually watched a sumo match. This was weird, and they're wearing like the diapers or whatever they wear, like the thong diaper, which, not attractive, especially on a man like Big Show, although he wore it better than Akebono. So this was really weird, but it was also really neat. Like, I've never seen a sumo match before, but this looked like the way they do it. Like, they did all these interesting rituals. Like, they made they put their feet down, they slam their feet, and then they have salt that they throw in the ring. And all while they're doing all these rituals, Michael Cole on commentary is explaining everything. Like, oh no, they slam their left foot as a tribute to this god, something or something, and they do this with the salt because of this. And it was really neat and really interesting. And it was really, they took it very seriously, like it wasn't done as a joke. They could have very easily done it mocking sumo, which would have made it a joke and would have made it boring and stupid. But they didn't. They took it incredibly seriously. There were no real shenanigans. Like then they wrestled and it was like a real sumo wrestling match. Like there was no chairs involved and Big Show didn't cheat. So, and the whole thing was like 5 minutes, which is the perfect amount of time for this. It didn't go on too long, and it was just long enough to be kind of interesting. And the match itself was kind of neat. Big Show lost, but I don't know. I imagine a lot of people would watch this and complain about it, and this is probably on lists of like the dumbest WrestleMania matches. But I thought it was short enough that it was fun, and it was done in such a way that was really interesting and respectful of the sumo culture, which is two big fat guys in diapers knocking into each other. Then we get into the two main events. The first is the WWE Championship on the line. It's champion in JBL versus John Cena. I wrote down in my notes, meh. This one wasn't that good. Even including the sumo match, which was pretty neat, every match up to this point has been awesome. For some reason, WrestleMania has a hard time nailing the main event. The triple threat last year was awesome. Anything with The Rock and Stone Cold is awesome. But for the most part, the main events are very often the weakest matches of the night. This one was just boring. And it was fun seeing John Cena become the champion. He won, by the way, to John Cena. But I don't know, I've never really been a JBL fan. He's a big, tough-looking dude. He's okay on commentary sometimes. But for the most part, I just don't like him. I do like JBL's show that's on the network now where he interviews legends. Is that what it's called? Or something like that. That's really good. He's a really good interviewer. I don't like him as a wrestler. I don't love him as a commentator. But he's a great interviewer. That show's really interesting, and he does a great job. But this match was kind of bland. And then separating the two main events was the 2005 Hall of Fame inductions. And last week when I read the 2004 inductions, I said they could never have a class better than this. This one comes pretty close. This one might actually be better. We got Nikolai Volkov, Iron Sheik, Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff, Cowboy Bob Orton, Jimmy Hart, Rowdy Roddy Piper, and Hulk Hogan. That's great. That's great. Great class, all well deserving. And then we get the World Heavyweight Championship match. Triple H defending against Batista. Batista, I believe, in his first solo WrestleMania match. Because he was in the handicap match with Evolution versus Rock and Sock. Was that last year? This match was okay. As I've said in the past, I'm not a huge Triple H fan. I find his matches to be repetitive and boring and just kind of the same. They follow the same storyline and trajectory. Batista is one of these wrestlers who's both overrated and underrated. Like if you Google worst wrestlers of all time, Batista will come up. But he's good enough that I think he puts on good matches when he has a competitor who either inspires him or lifts him up and plays to his strengths, and I don't think Triple H is that competitor. But this match wasn't bad. Like, I liked it. The last half is a lot stronger than the first half. The first half is just, just two big guys knocking into each other. It's kind of like that sumo match. But as it progressed and Batista started to dominate, that was fun because I do really like Batista. I think he's a big actor now. He's got a really successful acting career, and which is because he is so charismatic and just so. There's something magnetic about him, and that was certainly what propelled him in the wrestling world. Also, the fact that he's a gargantuan beast, and I think he's pretty decent. I like him. I mean, he doesn't do like flips. And I don't know if he could put on a figure 4 leg lock correctly, but it's fun watching him Batista bomb people, especially Triple H. So anyway, long story short, Batista wins and becomes the new World Heavyweight Champion. And that's the close of WrestleMania 21, which is a near perfect WrestleMania until the last 40 minutes or so. Watch the sumo match because it's really interesting, but then you're fine if you just turn it off there. Although the John Cena JBL match isn't awful, it's watchable, and the Triple H Batista match is not bad. Like it's good, it's entertaining. It's just it goes on a little too long and it's a little boring in the first part. But other than that, this is one of my favorite WrestleMania so far, just because the first half was so good. So I say, yeah, I give this one a big thumbs up. I really liked it. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody, and I'll see you next Wednesday. Who's your favorite wrestler? I like the British Bulldog. Good choice. Oop. Who's your favorite wrestler? I like Mad Dog Vachon. Another decent choice. Bitsy.